G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is an M4 rifle. This is a weapon that has been ported directly from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2022, which is hot off the press. They only released a few weeks ago, and already modders are starting to bring in the weapons from that game, which goes to show you how fast modders can work and how keen they are to get the weapons in there so you can shoot gunners and stuff instead of other players and 12-year-olds online. And I'm guessing the reason that they're able to get these guns over so quickly is that most of the tools that they use for the 2019 Modern Warfare would work with the current one that is out, because all COD games are the same anyway, so maybe the tools are fairly compatible between releases as well. That makes sense, don't you think? So what you're getting here is a rifle with custom sounds, got animations as well. They are ported from the Call of Duty thing, so no points can be awarded for the craftsmanship of this weapon or the textures, because some poor underpaid game dev made these things. 12-hour day and $0 paid for overtime. Not a single second of overtime was paid that day. Anyways, let's move away from the unethical video game creator industry and get into the customization. Right now we've got a standard receiver. This thing is actually automatic, and for those of you who are familiar with this weapon and eagle-eyed can probably see that that's sort of switched over to the automatic side. If you use a single thing, it'll actually point over there, pointing up, I suppose, or down, depending on which way you want to look at it, and that'll actually just make it single fire. So you've got both rifleman and commando variants on how to use this, or rather options, I suppose. Now, unfortunately for the advanced single shot receiver here, is this thing doesn't actually do a whole lot more damage than the automatic one at all, which is going to cost you quite a lot of DPS, but that's okay. We're going to be using it anyway. We might be able to utilize sniper with it if we acquire a scope and use it on this thing. But for now, let's chuck this on an automatic advanced receiver. Very nice. 190 damage just to start off with is pretty nice. A legendary effect is there if we need it. We will leave that with nothing at the moment. And this rail attachment here has some laser sights and stuff on the side. Now, I downloaded the textures for this, and for some reason, some of these laser sights don't have textures at all. So we won't be using anything pink here, because that's just unimmersive. But as you can tell, these ones actually do have textures. I've got to bring the gun around again, and that even matches the furniture of the weapon with the tan handguard and stock there. So that's nice, isn't it? And right now we've got standard sights. We can replace them with Cronin's, or those ones which have no textures. Are they different at all? Barely. And there's also AOTech looking things, some other scopes, and if we scroll down all the way over here, we can get to the thermal scopes and stuff. So that one looks kind of cool, I guess, but let's go for something a little bit more basic on this one. There's a high-powered scope looking thing there. Let's go for some sort of AOTech looking one. I quite like the look of an AOTech on an AR-15 platform weapon. I think that looks pretty nice. Let's move on. So the magazine, we've got a standard 30-round magazine. You can have a 45-round or a 60-round version of the magazine, which makes it fat if you've got the 60-round one. Or you can have the F-Tech, which swaps your ammo over to 50 caliber, which will give you a whole lot of damage at the cost of ammo capacity. We're going to be utilizing this on a semi-auto one with a scope, so we can snipe things from long distance and get a whole lot of damage that way. This one being automatic, there's no reason for us to not chuck in a 60-round magazine on that. And you can have a bunch of pistol grips, which I'll quickly go through here. This one has the best superior stability and accuracy, apparently. Looks like whether these actually do anything, I'm not sure. There's no gun nut requirement, which would allude to anything being more superior than the others, so I guess it's all just sort of customization and flavor, I suppose. There's nothing there I could say other than that. And right now we've got the standard barrel. We can have a carbine barrel if you want to have that. It doesn't actually reduce the range despite having a longer barrel. That's interesting. And the shorter barrels don't lose you any range, and as you scroll down, the longer barrels don't give you any range, so that's kind of interesting. I quite like this one because it's got the little guard things over the Picatinny rails, and there's also one down here. It has this sort of box over it. It's sort of square. It's actually not there. That's kind of weird. I was using one before. I swear it had it, but let's just go with the one with that's got the little handguard things over it. And we've actually swapped down over to muzzles now because we must have gained that slot by applying that barrel. This one has a suppressor that looks like that. There's actually a few suppressors here and a few compensators that are completely untextured. We won't be utilizing those, of course, but just to give you a little bit of an idea of what customization options there are. There you go. And we'll throw a spearhead suppressor on this, giving us 237 damage, and it only gets better from here because we've still got some extra damage we can pull out of this. And we've got the stocks as well, which you can change it to like a weird looking buffer tube thing, and a bunch of other stocks which have names that are not quite what they are in real life, but they don't have to worry about licensing issues, I suppose. There's a full stock right there. We'll throw that one on, why not? And right now the ammunition is standard, but you can change that to frangible, which will give you slightly better damage. Armor piercing, which will help against armored targets, give you better damage. Incendiary, you just burn people, gives you a bunch of energy damage and not actual fire damage, which is interesting. That's actually a lot of damage to get per bullet out of this thing. Cryo ones don't give you any cryo damage, but you can freeze targets perhaps. Hollow Point gives you a shit ton more damage and literally zero drawbacks, and you can tell this one is going to be high level because it creates or requires gun nut rank 4 and science rank 2 to utilize. There's also depleted uranium rounds, which will give you slightly little bits of radiation damage, which is only ever going to be helpful against humans. So unless you don't want the I guess the incendiary rounds giving you the fire effect on every bullet, you can have the depleted uraniums instead and have yourself a little bit of extra radiation damage along with that. And there's no cameras here. I'm guessing that's a work in progress. And okay, so lower rail, I missed that one. You can have some grips on there, and there we go. There's the sort of cube housing thing over. I was wondering where that was going to show up, but yeah, that's actually part of the grenade launcher itself, or the mounting of it. I thought that was actually part of the barrel, but I was wrong. But you can get that look. Don't worry about the fire rate. The fire rate there, that's not relevant. That's just a visual bug right there. But yes, you can have a bunch of grips, including a bunch of ones with no textures. Oh, a grip pod. I got one of those on a Nerf Stampede once. That was fun to pop out and put back in all the time. And yeah, bunch of grips. I think I've shown you everything. I'm going to create a couple more of these and we'll go shoot things. Getting this weapon unimmersively is very easy. All you need to do is go into a chemistry workbench, find weapon -M4, and you go in there and you can craft your M4 for gun nut rank 4 requirement and these things, which by the time you've got gun nut rank 4, you should have plenty of these things sitting around somewhere. So you can craft them. 1, 2, and 3. But there's a more immersive way of getting some. I'm going to show you where there's one on the map. In order to acquire this weapon slightly more immersively, all you need to do is go to Fort Hagen in the command center section. So obviously this is locked off to a story section, so you're going to be at the end of Act 1 to get here, but that's obviously, you're going to get there before you get access to rank 4 if you're quick about it. And right now I'm next to Mr. Skeleton down here. He's next to the Nuka-Cola Quantum. You can't miss it. Be sure to pick up the Fort Hagen Armory password, but if you don't have that, you can grab yourself the Master Locking of the Terminal perk, Master Hacker perk, to get that open without that. But you'll find the terminal here, a novice lock here, so bring a bobby pin, and you'll find the M4 tucked over here, which is really close to the GRL-45, and I'm actually quite impressed that 2 different mods are able to put a weapon there that is so close to another one without causing incompatibilities where you'd only have one or the other spawn there. So that's quite nice. There's your M4, and that's how you get it. So you can go around the corner and shoot Kellogg with it if you want. Also, most of these have Lucky for some reason, but well, let's not use that. That's lame, isn't it? Okay, before you yell at me, Warfighter, I just installed the things again, and look, I've got textures on everything now, including this grip pod. I'm gonna put it on the short-barreled one. Nice. Okay, so here we are outside of the Immersive Gunners Plaza, and bad news, Taffington Boathouse has been hit. Oh no! Anyway, this is the M4 in first person, taking a quick look at this thing in third person. Note the M203 on the front there. Funnily enough, nothing's loaded in there, so we don't have to worry about lugging around the 40 mic that might be stuffed in there. So that's good for weight reduction. And I think this thing looks pretty awesome. Everything's been scaled pretty well, except for this barrel. This is a short-barreled automatic one without a suppressor. And I think the discrepancy there between where the hand is and the foregrip just might be a casualty of just having the short barrel and the attachment point of the foregrip so far back. So I'll let that one slide, but that might be something worth looking at if you want to fix that one. This is a semi-auto one with a suppressor with a night vision scope. It's about 5:30, maybe 5:45 in the AMs at the moment, so looking to get a little bit of use out of this night vision scope before the sun comes up and we get in danger. And lastly, this one here is a semi-auto one with a see-through scope, which looks like that in third and this in first, and no suppressor on it either. This actual barrel here doesn't have a muzzle attachment at all. But we'll get started by shooting these guys a little bit with the snipey snipes. We'll sit in this truck here and we'll get started. And it doesn't look like there's any scope sway at all, so we don't have to waste our breath trying to hold this thing down. And it looks like if we headshot these guys, we can most certainly one-shot them, which is it's good news, because I mean, this thing's going to promise us a lot of good DPS, and there's a sniper knockdown for you as well, obviously, with the TV vision scope here that is, like, standard of Fallout 4. We're going to get, like, something like that, and I'm just going to move back a little bit. We'll get one more magazine of these 50 cals out of the way, and then we'll try to... actually, you know what? Never mind. Welcome to Automatic Stealth Commando 4.4 times multiplier on a round that does 200 damage without any problems at all. Actually, there's some mantises around. So what you are seeing is this thing before we get the 4.4 times multipliers, and now we're with them. So as we're sort of sneaking around in this foliage here, we'll take out that cheeky gunner who's just hopped up, almost got me detected. Take that guy out as well. And alright, now we're in danger, but I think that goes to show exactly how incredibly powerful this thing is. Now I'm wondering whether that's just the modder's vision to have this thing sort of mimic the damage models in Call of Duty, where, you know, you don't have to put people full of like a full magazine into people to drop them. But it's a nice change up. Definitely an endgame type weapon we're looking at here as I lean around the corner and put bullets directly into the tree there. See, that's why the Americans lost in Vietnam. The 5.56 rounds, if that was a 7.62, that tree would have been history. Absolutely shredded. So with this short barrel variant, we can keep on the move whilst firing. The animation, sorry, the spread on this thing seems to be pretty handily nice and tight. Obviously, we've got the laser sight on there as well, and the steady hands perk working for us as well, so it's a combination of things to keep this thing nice and dialed in whilst hip firing. But generally, video game logic says your weapons have better hip fire with shorter barrels, which I guess just means they're easier to handle, right? They're easier to handle in those close quarters things, and because, you know, you could be staring into a wall with the barrel with the longest gun barrel in the world, and you'll still be pointing directly at it. So, you know, we take these little things, like they trade some realism here for some realism there in some cases. There are mods that allow you to point your gun down. Actually, that's a vanilla feature right there. But, yeah. You sort of point your gun down there. They've gotten away around with that pretty elegantly, I think. Anyways, we're sort of further out now, and I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll put some rounds down range with this 50 cal banger over here, and although we're not getting spectacular amounts of damage, the hit scan nature of this thing is going to make it easier just to click on things and kill them that way. But if we so wish to miss every shot, we can do that if we want. Maybe I'm having trouble finding where the sight is, because the crosshairs, I think, are a little less visible than normal. Seem to go slightly better in third person. That's what Fortnite does to you. I can't play any first person shooter anymore. I can't see around myself. Anyways, we'll keep on going here. And the sniper knockdown's particularly useful for anything that you can't kill super easily, which I don't think will be that much of an issue for a weapon like this, because the amount of DPS we're able to squeeze out of this thing, it's immense. And anything the vanilla game has in it is, it's not going to measure up in power at all. And we're actually into Nerd Rage threshold now, which is not to say that the gun couldn't handle it, rather than just been shot multiple times and haven't been playing this super full stealthy. And, you know, the armor situation, I mean, it's not a lot, but we've got like 1400 hit points, so if I was wearing like full ballistic weave, well, that would be boring, wouldn't it? It's perfectly aligned. She's actually going the fisticuffs instead of shooting me with a gun, which, if someone's like holding down the trigger in an automatic rifle, you probably don't want to punch them. I feel like that was a little bit ambitious there from that particular gunner. But there we go. There was Immersive Gunners Plaza just ripped apart, shredded by the M4 and longer barreled M4s that we might refer to as M16s. And before I go here, classic holstered weapons, it works. Isn't it great to be back to the regularly scheduled gun-toting thoughts instead of Whispering Hills? You know, being able to see 20 meters in front of you, I think is a pretty nice thing. Okay, the sun has well and truly risen at this point, but I am not going to stop the stealth train, and that guy almost did. What I'm going to attempt to do here is just snipe at these guys. Probably should do this with my suppress one just so I don't get detected, but I'm keen to do a little bit of sniping here, and I think there's only just one dude left. Actually, no, there's heaps of them. I'm gonna start working on Swan in just a second. I hit him behind his leg. No, the bullets, they don't penetrate all the way through. Oh, there we go. All right, so the 4.4 times multipliers, they can begin. We'll seek those headshots a little bit. The recoil on this thing, very easy to maintain, so we don't have to worry about the thing getting too out of hand. There we go. And even without those sneak criticals, with the amount of damage we were able to get for that first burst and onto that second one, like, he had no chance. This thing is going to crush and roll every single thing in the game. So, you know, if you're looking for a true end game sort of bullet sponge destroyer, this is it. So you can take this against your super mutant warlords, and maybe the game won't feel so frustrating on very hard difficulty. Let's move on to one more thing. Welcome to the broad daylight, where we're using night vision scopes. It's really not as bad as you'd think it would. But anyways, we'll try to get a knockdown here before this guy gets too close and detects me, because he's got a mean punch on him. And if we can keep him nice and locked down through all of this, I don't think we'll have a single problem taking him out. Alright, never mind. The problems start now. That's actually Nerd Rage, so maybe my problems are solved. Quickly stuff that magazine in. Yes. Alright, sweet. That was a tactical punch in the face on my end. Yes, of course. And we can even shoot a few gunners over there. Oh, there goes one. That was actually a sneak critical somehow. I would have thought for sure that they were aggroed by those turrets and therefore would be immune to that sort of trickery. But here we go. I'm gonna kill some insects, because I'm annoyed that they got in the way of those gunners before. They must pay their debt in bug blood. That's worked out. And there's another dude over there. Gotta track the numbers. Shoot at the center of the numbers and everything will be fine. That one over there. Yeah, that was totally me. Alright, I think you get the point. This here is an M4, previously known as M4 Family, but has been updated since. Hopefully, Warfighter can figure out a way of getting these 40 mic tubes working, because, you know, just to add icing onto the overpowered cake of this thing, being able to launch grenades to clear out a whole room, like that door breach thing with the lockpick, that would have been perfect to throw a grenade or two in, but unfortunately we don't have that functionality quite yet. Other mods have done it, and I think he's trying to make a way that's a little bit more immersive than switching a holotape over or something that allows you to carry multiple of these things and able to still keep that functionality, but we'll have to see how we go. Top weapon mod, a little bit heavy on the size of it, but, you know, if you're a fan of Call of Duty and you want to use this gun without having to worry about being killed by some squealy 12-year-old, is that a COD meme anymore? Well, you can use it in Fallout 4, and you can shoot bloodthirsty mercs and giant green men instead. How cool's that? Thank you very much for watching, guys.